Hello everyone and welcome back to Red Rock Chess. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Today's video is going to be an absolute great one. We are going to be reviewing two players that are at the 100 ELO level, and man, this game was absolutely crazy. I cannot wait to go into it with you guys. If you guys are new and you guys do like chess, make sure to like this video and subscribe. It really does help us out at Red Rock Chess. And also make sure to drop down in the comments what your thoughts of how this game is going to turn out. Without further ado, let's dive right into this chess match. And just pre-warning, if you guys are not wanting to cry today, please do not watch this game. It is crazy. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So the game starts off with the queen's pawn being pushed to d4. And the opponent makes a surprisingly good move, which is to mirror that and put the black pawn on d5. It's a good move to put the king's pawn up. Don't know what the thought process is. Maybe he just saw the first pawn that he thought of and just grabbed it and pushed it forward. But it's an interesting move for sure. And the opponent decides to play c6, kind of like the Karo Khan, but little weird. It's a move though, and it defends. The purpose behind it is to defend the pawn in case the e4 pawn were to capture, and then it would be equals. And so yeah, that's what happens. It just gets taken, and instead of using his pawn that he put there, he decided to use his queen, getting the queen in the game. A big trend in 200 level chess is to bring the queen right into the game, and it is manifested throughout this whole entire game. The player decided to throw his c pawn up to attack the queen, which is a good move. It centralizes his pawn structure into the center of the board, kind of creating an attack on these squares right here, and it is defended magically by this bishop. I don't know if this player knew that, but it is a good move overall. And of course, the best thing to do is just check the king. Obviously, that's what he sees, and that's what he does. And so they just move their piece to their queen to check the king. The player just does something very not smart and puts their bishop just right in front. And here's why it's not smart. By moving this right here, there is no longer something to protect this g2 pawn right here, and ultimately also just not a good spot for it. And out of the 152 ELO points that this random noob has, he was able to spot that, and it's the first good move of this game. And surprisingly, White also found the next best move to counter it back. And the reason why this is the best move is that it attacks the queen, but then also protects the rook, while the rook is also protecting its pieces right here. So it's kind of one of the only good moves that these guys make all game, but surprisingly enough, it was played. Black makes a move to put the queen back, so look how many times this man moves his queen. He moves it once in a row, twice, 3, 4. Not looking good for black in these pieces. A good rule of thumb for if you're new at chess is try to avoid playing the same piece 2 times or more in a row. The reason being is if you develop one piece and use it more than the others, you're lacking development in other places that you could be needing it. And so out of all the moves that this player could have made, he decided to push his pawn. He decided, I've had enough with the king side. So pushed his queen side pawn right there, kind of creating some counterplay over there. He still hasn't developed any pieces, as a matter of fact, but you know what? Why not push a pawn? That is a great thought process right there. And once again, what does black do? He plays the queen, even though his whole entire back rank has not been unused. But then again, that's the strategy back here. And so, using 2 seconds of thought, our player moved his knight right into to defend, which is a good move. It is protected, well protected by these two pieces, and he's looking to start developing his knight. He's gonna potentially bring out his bishop and start to develop some pieces. And our noob, on the other hand, also decides to bring out his knight. He thought, might as well, since I can't put it right here, but it's an okay move. I think his thought process is to kind of start bringing in some pieces and maybe getting some pressure on the white king right here, especially with how weak he is. And I cannot explain to you what this move is. There is an open file right here where his king can be attacked, and so the most logical thing for our player was to see this line of danger and castle right into it, which I cannot explain to you why this player did that, but it is a pretty interesting move. And black decides to move his knight out from the outside of the board into a good spot, actually. This creates some danger for white here in the future. If say our black pieces decided to put a check, that will also allow him to bring his bishop out in the game and start to create some strong squares for black to move his knight, which could look pretty brutal for some of the pieces, and especially pretty dangerous overall. And so white's wanting to counterplay, so he does put the black queen in danger, and so black notices that and shifts out of the way. And so the obvious move right here is just to blunder your knight, because you just feel absolutely generous and you just found it the right time to just donate your knight away. Obviously, with simple math, you can realize there is 2 attackers and 1 defender. So what does black do? They capture, and that's very good on black for capturing. And so white decides that it's just not the time to retake, because they'll lose a queen, which is good. And black decides that he's done with his knight being in the center of the board, and he wants to move it back, which is not necessarily a bad move, but there's a lot better moves that could be done, like bringing out the knight, bringing out the bishop. You can eventually castle. Later on, you can be moving your pawn up. You could be bringing your bishop out. There's a lot of different moves for black, but he only wants to move these 2 pieces, and that is it. And so white decides that they want to move their knight into the center of the board, which is a good move in theory, because it also eventually is looking at putting some danger on the knight right here into the future. And so black makes a not so great move. The reason why it's not as great as a move is because it just leaves the knight hanging. I think in black's mind, they're thinking that they're going to have a great checkmate in 1, also not realizing that it's protected by the bishop, and the queen is protecting that bishop itself. And so it just totally hangs the knight right here, and it's totally overlooked. Totally overlooked right here. And I think I think this queen side was just not protected enough for white to care, and so they pushed up their pawn, and they made sure that this part was stable, and man, that free rook right there just was not tempting at all to white. And the best way for me to explain this move is wow, that's just a beautiful move. Giving away a free rook, as if it was charity, was the best move possible. And you could tell that this is a 3-minute game, and over the last 14 moves, both players have spent less than a minute on all these moves. So pretty fast-paced game. And white, fortunately, recaptured the material and took advantage of this free knight that was just free for the taking. And yeah, so it's just equal trades right here, and once it's captured, this bishop right here could just easily come and pick it back up, but that's not what our Red Rock chess sub wanted. They wanted to take it with the pawn, and so they saw the opportunity to push the pawn and attack the queen, and that's what they did. And yeah, and so black decided, oh no, I don't want to trade it for the queen, I want to trade it for the bishop, getting it taken by the bishop. And what I think this player was thinking is, oh, this bishop is pinned to the king, so it's not able to take this knight. So now I will take this knight. And what they missed out on is, now that you took that knight, there is nothing to pin the king with the bishop. And so what this Red Rock chess sub does is just happily take a free queen. They're like, ooh, free queen. And can you notice like how fast the queen is just lost, and the elo bar is just jumping all over the place, which is absolutely crazy. And black finally develops their first piece since the beginning of the game. It has been a while since black developed any pieces besides the first knight and the queen, but since those are both gone, they decided maybe it's about time that we start developing our pieces, and with the intent of attacking this bishop. And yeah, this makes so much sense. It's all defended right here, and this bishop is totally not hanging for this rook right here to capture, and black captures back the bishop and says they want to be back in the game, and the logical move is to obviously push your pawn to do nothing, and you could have made some good developing moves. You could have brought your queen up, started connecting your rooks over here, but that was not what our member wanted. They wanted to push their pawn. And this move is also pretty interesting. It is not defended at all, but it also is just attacking the queen. That is pretty much all this move is doing, and it's looking to attack the queen. And our Red Rock chess sub noticed that and pushed their queen up to attack, and they moved the knight back to counter and attack the queen again, which just pushed the queen to also attack. And there's a lot of really good moves that not good moves, but moves that can protect this knight. I could see at least one, I could see at least two. There is also putting it back on 3 at a worst case scenario, but no, they wanted to donate and give a free a free knight for the takings, and white took took the free knight. They said, "Oh, I dare you to try and win it back." And so black was like, "Oh my goodness, I am down 5 points in material. I need to start winning back some pieces. So I will attack the queen with the pawn." And if you guessed any move out of what would happen, I would say that they should en passant. But this is 100 elo chess, so that's probably not going to happen. And so queen takes, which is also a really good move, and so they push it up. Now we have to attack the other pawn. Like, use the other pawn to attack the queen, which is the only logical move right here. And so white was probably thinking, "Oh my goodness, I am attacking the king right now. This is a fantastic move." And so black counters that to check the king. Obviously, if there's any check opportunities for an opponent with 100 elo, that is what they are going to be doing. And so great decision by white to push the king out into safety. The thought process right behind here is not just to let go of this piece right here, but it's also just to take this piece right here with the bishop. I think the black pieces is trying to just make any checks possible, and so our Red Rock Chess Sub brings out their bishop, which is one of the first good developing moves that white seems to have made this whole time. Yeah, black recaptures back with their pawn and doubles up their pawn. Not the most ideal, but they also are looking at they're still eyeing this pawn right here, which is a good move. And so the only logical thing to do right now is just sack your queen, and that is exactly what happens in this game. And he decided it was enough, and he wanted to trade his queen for a pawn. And I can only imagine how smart he felt after his queen was captured pretty much instantly. You could see 1 second went by on the clock right here between when our player lost their queen. And so white decided they wanted to get back. They were like, I'm gonna get those points back that I just lost. So I'll just grab this pawn right here. I see an open pawn. Let me grab it. Oh wait, that's not a free pawn. So they just went from a matter of up six points of material here at the bottom, and man, in a matter of just moves, they are down 5 points of material. And that is 100 elo chess for you. But we are not done. This game is not even halfway over. This gets way more exciting. And so obviously white is losing, so they say, "Oh my goodness, let's make a check on the king." And so the king moves out of the way, check again, and he decides to bring both his rooks to the center of the board, which is actually a very smart move. If you are losing, make sure to dominate the center, the E and D file with your rooks. This is what you usually want to be doing during the end game to start to take over and control the most dominant files. And so the thought process right here of our Red Rock Chess Sub is just putting up the rook so it can attack the bishop right here, not even seeing that this bishop right here is in direct line of fire. And so what happens? Oh, it's taken. And so our Red Rock Chess Sub said, "Oh, I do not want to keep getting attacked. I will put this player in check." And he avoids check. He takes the pawn. He decides, I want to be 1 point less behind, and it's now 9 points, or the equivalent of a queen, behind. Great move by black, attacking the white rook, the only piece left on the board. Something better that he could have done was potentially just bringing his rooks into the game. This rook still hasn't moved the whole entire game. There's a lot of great moves that this player could have made, but that's not a horrible move. And and white decides they wanted to capture another pawn, which in their scenario is probably the only thing they are able to do. And black finally, after 35 moves in the game, decides to bring their rook into play, and it was to defend a pawn that wasn't even being attacked, and leaves the one pawn they were defending the whole time. And so it's amazing to see that after the rook defending this pawn right here, this rook right here decides they wanted to attack that same pawn, not even knowing that they could have captured a free pawn. They could have just easily taken this pawn right here, but no, they wanted to get their rook taken away. Which, as you can see, it is mate in 6 right now, and depending on how horrible this Red Rock chess sub plays, they could even lose the game. But no, now that we are halfway through, it only gets really spicier from here. So white decides to capture their pawn from c5, and they take on b6. There's check. He slides the king over, and a great bishop move right here. Moving this bishop back, it also attacks right there. And so the chess sub decides to defend that by playing c5. Probably one of the only moves that they can make that won't totally ruin it all for them. And we finally see some rook actions. We see the h8 rook come into play, and it's making some great moves. And white decides that he wants to attack it, and so he pushes the pawn up to b7. The rook blocks it, and the king starts sliding over to attack, and slides back and forth until he is just getting checked. And it's not looking very good. He is getting checked pretty much every single move. These pawns have no way of advancing to the final rank to promote, and it all looks pretty hopeless. But then again, remember, this is 100 elo chess. Anything is possible. And right now, the most simple thing to do is just start collecting all the pawns. There's also just mate in 3, where you can push this rook. Anything can happen, and you just keep bringing the rooks down, shuffling in a back rank checkmate. But no, he just missed mate in 1. You do realize that, guys. Like, when you're at 100 elo chess, anything is possible, and that includes missing mate in 1. And so he decides he wants to check our fellow Red Rock chess sub, and there's a lot of different moves that can be made. There's like bishop right here. You can bring the rook back around and then checkmate the king. But no, he lets him escape, checks him again, and gives up a free rook. I don't know if he thought that was being protected by this bishop, like as if it was a horse, or what the thought process was, but he doesn't even take it. He's like, no, I don't want your rook. That's not cool. And he moves back, and our sub decides to push his king. He's like, I'm going to be pushing our king. And surprisingly, this pawn has made it very far away for a person that only has a king and 2 pawns. And white decides to capture the second to last pawn, and this is finally on the last rank. And the most logical move right now is to obviously bring that knight into the game and just capture it. You could also look at just bringing your bishop back and making sure that pawn does not promote. But that is also a move. It does make it so it's mate in 1, and there is a lot of good opportunities for this player to put the king in checkmate. But that's not what happens. Black decides to let the white king go and escape, and continues to check and lets the white pawn promote to a queen. And as you can see, there is 14 seconds left on the clock for black, and gives away the bishop, and that's a fantastic move by white, and makes a discovered check right here, where they move the queen, the bishop out of the way, saying, ha ha ha, I got you, this is check, you can't do anything, and that gets taken. And so the most logical thing to do is to move your rook right in front of the king to be taken, and that is what happens. And so he decides to move the bishop out of the way just to be safely protected. And our sub decides to move the queen all the way up to check the king, and eventually put himself into safety. And the white queen decides to move it back, kind of to attack this, and eventually look at putting some good check in place. And it's an okay move, not the best move by black, and this is how the game ends, by time out. And so, what a wild game, guys. If you guys enjoyed watching 100 ELO chess, make sure to drop it down in the comments, and I'll be sure to watch more, have you guys watch more games with me. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to visit our website, redrockchess.com, and subscribe. It really does help us out, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you for watching.